Today my guest is Brenda Poinsett.
To make my home a welcoming place at Christmas time. And as I have others in, I want to invite Jesus in.
Our Savior, live your faith and pass it on. Share the gospel clear and strong. Stand for, claim your heritage of truth.
Welcome to Heritage of Truth. Today my guest is Brenda Poinsett. Welcome, Brenda.
Thank you.
Now you have 3 Christmas books.
3 holiday books. This book, Holiday Living, is about 19 different holidays.
Oh, so
These-
2 are Christmas.
Can Martha Have a Merry Christmas
Okay,
and
that's the
Unwrapping
same.
Marthas Joy are both Christmas books.
Unwrapping Marthas Joy. Okay, and then that one's Holiday Living. Well, with a name like Poinsett, I guess you couldn't get away from writing about Christmas.
Absolutely not. Had to do it.
So, do you have a lot of poinsettias around your house at Christmas time?
Well, actually, I live in a small house right now. It would thrill me to have a lot of poinsettias around the house, but I don't have room to sit them all. So I just usually have a couple every Christmas, and then I plant them outside in my yard.
What prompted you to write Can Martha Have a Merry Christmas?
A lot of women become Marthas during December or the last part of November. And it can become a really stressful time for women because we want to make everybody happy. We want our families to enjoy Christmas and we want to please them. And there's a lot of work involved in Christmas. And so even if you don't consider yourself a Martha during the rest of the year, you become one just so that Christmas gets done. And so I wanted to write to help those women because I'm a Martha. And I sometimes lose my cool in getting ready for Christmas. And so I've had some lessons to learn along the way because I really do want a Merry Christmas, M-A-R-Y Christmas. I want a Christmas when I can really experience Jesus, when he's really a part of our Christmas and when I can sense his presence in my home.
Now, for people who are not that biblically literate, who are new believers or who are not believers and have not read the Bible, can you explain the difference between being a Martha and being a Mary?
Well, the Martha and Mary labels for these 2 books come from an incident in the Gospels in the book of Luke. Whenever Martha invited Jesus to her home, when Jesus got there, she got involved in all of the preparations that go with entertaining a guest. And Mary, though, planted her seat at Jesus' feet and started listening to him teach. And as Martha looked out over to see what she was doing, Martha thought, now why is she having all the fun? Now that's my loose translation of the incident, but that's kind of what happens to me at Christmas time, or maybe even at Thanksgiving. I'm in the kitchen and the perspiration from cooking starts popping out on my forehead, and my family's all in the living room watching the ball game or something. I thought, why am I in here all by myself doing this all alone? And it's not fair. And I think that was kind of Martha's reaction, that she had invited Jesus into their home and she wanted to be able to fellowship with him and enjoy him just as Mary was doing. And that's a position that many of us women find ourselves in during November and December as we get ready for Christmas. And so I share some of the lessons I've learned along the way so that I can have a Merry Christmas.
So that you can focus on the Lord.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Unwrapping Marthas Joy, tell us what that's about.
Well, that's really written from the homemaker's point of view. The first one, Can Martha Have a Merry Christmas, is really about untangling all those expectations inside of you. But I'm a homemaker, and I just kind of am intertwined with my home. If my kitchen's in disarray, I'm in disarray. And I want to make my home a welcoming place at Christmas time. And as I have others in, I want to invite Jesus in. I want him to be a part of the festivities. I want him to be there. And that takes some unwrapping. It takes some introspection. It takes some effort in order for that to happen. It's worth the effort to go to the trouble to unwrap all the things that are troubling you and the things that you want to do in your house so that you can have a merry, M-A-R-Y, Christmas.
Well, it can also be M-E-R-R-Y then when you're doing that too.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because Jesus likes the party too. He was a social person. He went to Zacchaeus' home. He comes to Martha's home. He sat down to dinner with many people. He had conversations with the Pharisees. He went to Simon's home. Festivities were just a part of his life, and he used examples of banquets and dinners in teaching his parables. And then think about the parable of the prodigal son. What did they do in that parable?
They threw a party.
They threw a party. That's
That's
right.
right.
So Jesus understands parties, and he can come to your party. It's not going to put a damper on your party to invite him to come to be a part of the festivities.
Oh, no, I think it would actually make it much more fulfilling.
Well, that's the way I feel about it.
Yes.
Evidently, you and I agree on this.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell me about holiday living, using year-round holidays to build faith and family. That is a really good goal, to build faith and family.
Yes, I wanted my goal to be putting the holy into holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what happened. As I tried to bring Jesus to be the focus in my home with my own children, it turned out to be such a gratifying experience that, well, why not Easter? And how about Valentine's Day? Well, let's add St. Patrick's. And then St. Patrick, there was just so much wonderful information about him that it became important to us as a family to emphasize certain holidays in our home, that this was an occasion that we could focus on something spiritual, add some kind of spiritual value to the celebration. And your kids, if they go to public schools, they bring home all kinds of things they've made for every holiday. You have the setup right there, and you can go ahead and give a spiritual twist or a spiritual bent to that. And so that's what we tried to do. Now, I confess that as my children were growing up, I did not do all 19 of these holidays that are in this book. What happened, though, is I became more and more aware each year, and as they grew in different stages of their life, all this possibility that is inherent in that. And now I have a grandson living with me. He's going to be 12 in just a few days, and so it's important all over again that we
That's
put the
good.
holy into the holidays.
Now, that's one of the things I try to emphasize on this show is the importance of grandparents in the lives of children today. We have a heritage to pass on, don't we?
And you can pass on that heritage often at these holidays because you go back to get a historical meaning. Even if not all of these are biblical holidays or Christian holidays, but there was all something significant that prompted the development of that holiday in the first place that has real values in it. And so as you go back and you recall that with your children or your grandchildren, that gives you an opportunity to trace your own family, your own heritage, and your own faith.
Right. And the heritage of faith is the most important part of
Absolutely.
our heritage. Absolutely, yeah. Well, is there anything you would like to say to the young mothers out there as they get ready to celebrate Christmas, let's say?
Yes, I do want to encourage them not to try to do everything. There is within women, and particularly earnest homemakers of young children, that want to make Christmas such a vivid experience and cover all the bases, that everything ought to be done. If everything is not done, then my children aren't going to have a Merry Christmas, and then they're going to end up as adults when they go to parties and people will say, tell about your best Christmas or tell about what traditions you have. They're not going to have anything to say. Now, this bothers women. It may not even have ever occurred to men, but it does bother earnest mothers. And I just want to encourage them that you don't have to do it all. That what you need to work at is making a spiritual environment there. And that often means keeping it simple. God works through simplicity. God does not need extravagance to work. And He can come in and be a part of your festivities. Bless your family and bless your children so that they'll have meaningful Christmases.
Yeah, and spend that time together.
That
Yeah.
has been shown. Now, this wasn't a part of my research. I'm leaning on somebody else's research right now. One of the things that children want most at Christmas time is their parents' attention.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, that's some of my best memories are the times that we spent together as family. It's the decorations and everything were great, but it was the family time that really mattered.
Yes, your Christmas doesn't have to be theme coordinated
Yeah.
in order to have a memorable Christmas. Personally, I just love sitting by the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now that my grandson, who lives with me, who's turning 12, that he's getting beyond that read to me grandma stage, and I'm already mourning losing that stage a little bit because it was so precious to me to share those books together and read to him and wonderful Christmas stories.
Well, you could try continuing. We read to our daughter until she was through college.
Whoa.
We read as a family. We would pick something that we were all interested, and I always read aloud, and we'd read a chapter or two a night or whatever. And so it can continue if you can talk him into it.
Well, what I was thinking about was this Christmas, set aside a night for that. I have one son and his children live on the West Coast, and the other son lives on the East Coast. And the only time that we all get together is at Christmas, and so I usually have things kind of outlined of what we're going to do. And I had already decided that this year we were going to have a reading night. We
That's
were going to
great.
bring
That's
good
great.
stories, and the other two grandchildren are a lot younger, but they're learning to read. They can show off their reading, and it'll be a good
That
time
sounds like
for
a lot of fun. What
Yeah.
a good idea.
Yes, I think so.
What a good idea.
I'll let you know how it turns out.
All right. Well, where can people find you online?
At BrendaPoinsett.com.
Okay.
And all of these books are also available through your Christian bookstore or through Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
Okay. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Oh, my pleasure, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too.